This is the three-time Impact Wrestling X Division champion, the newest member of Bullet Club. I am the inevitable Ace Austin. And right now I want you to check out something on YouTube for me. If you're looking for some wrestling content on YouTube, go ahead and head over to the Nation Network. All right, they got some old school, they got some new school, and I'm willing to bet, chances are they've got something that you'll like, and that is inevitable.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Nation Network. Vince McSham with you here. And once again, we get ready to step inside the Creator's Studio. I see some of you guys starting to file in. Grab a seat. Get your pens and pencils ready. If you have a question, put it down in the chat on the side here, and we will address them as we go along. I've been looking forward to this for a long time now because I first found this guy by just flipping around YouTube videos, and to say he had me cracking up would be an understatement. Does some really, really good work, but his ability to represent and to imitate the Machoman Randy Savage is not matched by anyone. It is just in a league of its own. So for that reason, amongst others, I'm very much looking forward to this. And with that in mind, I tell all of you to please put your hands together. Let's give a nation welcome to the one, to the only Macho Man.
Yeah, I like the introduction, yeah. I like the applause, I like it, yeah.
Well deserved. So, again, I was just bouncing around YouTube one day, and the one that really got me, you were in Walmart, and you're in the wrestling figure section, and just going through the ones, the guys you didn't like, the guys you didn't like, and just flipping them around in the air, like, clean up on aisle 6. And I was like, that's great.
Well, you know what, man? That is everybody's favorite. I'm going to tell you something about that particular video, man. That is what started it all. That is what started. That Walmart video happened, wasn't planned. Let me tell you the story behind that whole video right there. This was way before I ever thought to do this Macho Man thing. That was on Halloween. I was in gimmick because it was Halloween. I had just come from a Halloween party. My friend Sarah was here in Vegas from New York. I know her from New York. We go way back, right? So we went to this Halloween party, and she was leaving in the next couple of days, and she said her suitcase ripped. We had to go to Walmart on the way back from this party and pick up buy a new suitcase. So I'm like, all right, well, here we are. We're walking through the store in gimmick, you know what I mean? And I just told her, we passed by this section with the figures. And I said, hey, record this. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I just said, record this. And I am not the social media type. I'm not the TikTok type. And especially back then I wasn't, because I wasn't even doing this as the way that I'm doing it now. Now I wish that I would have done it on purpose and I could take credit for it and go, yeah, I'm meant for that to go viral, But all it was like, I was just like, hey, this is going to be funny here. And she recorded me, and I just went on the fly with it, throwing the figures all over the place and everything. And the next day, people are telling me, dude, you're all over social media. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I don't even know, I don't even know if it was me that put it up there, or I put it up on my Facebook. Maybe somebody took it from there. And next thing you know, man, it just kept on. People were sharing it and liking it and following and blah, blah, blah. And everybody's telling me that I'm like this huge sensation because of this Walmart video. So it was already in the back of my mind to do this, type of Motch thing, you know what I mean? But that right there put the stamp of approval on it. And I was like, all right, there's money to be made here.
No doubt about it. And you picked one of the greatest characters you could. I mean, first off, he's one of the most beloved in wrestling history. And then the personality is just, it's there. And for you to capture the mannerisms the way you do, and I mean the small little details, yeah, I mean, it's just everything. It's just so uncanny. And when we lose people like him, it's nice to have somebody doing what you're doing, because it's almost like a part of them still here.
Well, I definitely appreciate that, man. That's like the greatest compliment when somebody tells me that, that he would love what I'm doing, or that thank you for keeping his memory alive. And to me, man, that's like, in a way, it sounds really weird, man, but it's like I can't explain it. When I see myself doing it, and I see the tiny little detail that I put into it, I don't do it on purpose. I don't say, oh well, I have to raise the finger up a little bit more this way, or I have to. It's something that comes so natural to me that it's almost scary, wondering whether or not, is there a bit of his spirit in me that makes me be able to do it so, point on. I don't know, but it's like when I put it on, brother, it's there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, point on is the way I would describe it as well. It's just there's moments where I just watch and I'm like, when I first saw you, I was almost thinking to myself, wait a minute, this is an impersonator or is this an old video that I just hadn't seen before? Because I could see him doing that going through the toy aisle. But then I looked at the wrestling figures and I was like, well, no, they came along after him. So
it's mind-boggling, isn't it? It's like confusing.
It doesn't take much to confuse me either. So I'm an easy target. All right. So let's get to know you a little bit. You're 5 years old. Where are you?
At 5 years old, I was living in New York. I'm originally from Westchester, New York.
Okay.
And I don't quite think that at 5 years old I had been bitten by the wrestling bug yet. But little did I know that it was going to bite me a few years down, maybe about, I think it was about 10 or 11, somewhere around there, 10, 11, 12, when wrestling struck, and I think anybody who's ever been bitten by the wrestling bug, it's always like it's a similar story. You know what I mean? It's like we all kind of are we're at the wrong place at the wrong time with a TV set on with some wrestling on it, and bad things happen from that moment on. And some people may know that I actually started out as a wrestler. That I wrestled under the name Vic Divine for about 15 years. And so when I say that I got bit by the wrestling bug, I mean that I got bit as a fan, and it was kind of like the minute I became a fan, I became a future wrestler. It was like I saw it and I said, whoa, what is this? I love it, and I'm gonna do that too. It's like there was no separation in the two. It was just like, oh, there's this is something really cool, and that's something really cool is what I'm gonna do with my life. And that's what ended up happening. Well, up until things changed a little bit. Now I'm doing this, but I'm still involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny that because I did find out somewhere that you had wrestled, but I didn't get the information on what you were doing. So you wrestled whereabouts?
Well, I started in New York and New Jersey, worked the whole East Coast, up and down the East Coast on the indies there. In 2005, I jumped in my car and drove down to Louisville, Kentucky, and knocked on OVW's door and said, let me in, man. I need to train at this place here. Didn't actually happen that way. I had to get a few okays first and everything. But the bottom line is that I ended up down there and started training under the tutelage of Rip Rogers, who everybody knows is the greatest trainer in the world. If you could learn one thing from Rip Rogers, you're already a better wrestler than anybody else who has never learned from him. You know what I mean? And I was being trained by him, and I was being trained by Al Snow, both at the same time, pretty much, because I was doing. Rip was teaching the intermediate class in the evenings, and then in the mornings, Al was teaching his developmental class. I guess they were the advanced class. I was in the class with the developmental contractors, even though I wasn't under developmental contract, but I was learning with them, which was like such an honor,
Mm-hmm.
So I was learning from two of the greatest guys in the world, man. And I don't know how I ended up being the shits, but but I'm doing what I do now, and I'm real good at it, so it's okay.
You are real good at it. So you mentioned that about 10 years old, you think you got the bug. What was your first introduction? Because you started talking about the TV set, and that's how I got into it. My great-grandfather was listening to it in the living room, and he's an old Italian New Yorker, and it's like, that son of a bitch is a dirty bastard, he's a cheating. And I'm, what the heck's going on in here? And that was it.
It's, everybody's got the same story, man. We could all blame our parents or our grandparents, you know what I mean? And then they're the ones that say that, that they don't want you watching that crap, or they don't want you getting into it, But I blame my dad. My dad was watching, it was the very first WrestleMania, and it was on a VHS tape. I know that. I don't know Now, I mean, I know it wasn't live. We weren't watching it on the live pay-per-view or closed circuit, whatever it was. It was a VHS tape, so it might have been even a year after WrestleMania. It could have been, I don't know exactly when it was, but all I know was I know the moment that I watched, and I was just hanging out in the living room, and he was watching this tape, and I was paying no attention to it. And all of a sudden, I heard this sound, and the sound was the three bells ringing, and then Hulk Hogan's music starting.
Yep.
And it was silent, you know, and you hear the beginning of his song, you know, I am all real, and I'm like, what is this, you know? And then all of a sudden, when the crowd erupted, man, like I guess goosebumps, man. The sound of a crowd erupting is like just it's like the highest high that you could get for you know, for an entertainer. And I guess I was an entertainer before I was an entertainer. And I hear the sound of this crowd going nuts, and that's what got me. And then I looked at the screen, and then I see Hulk Hogan, larger than life superhero, right? And he's with Mr. T, and I happen to be the biggest Mr. T fan at the time. I was a huge fan of the A-Team, right?
Same here.
So it must have been around the same, you know, it wasn't long after WrestleMania, because I know A-Team was on TV around 85, 86, and I know that, like, I had all the A-Team vans, you know, I had like all the toys and stuff. Yep. So putting all that stuff together, it was 85 or 86. And I'm like, whoa, this is crazy, man. This crowd is going nuts. That sound is it's like getting me pumped up. Hulk Hogan, this huge guy, and like, I mean, I've never seen a human being look like that before. And then you got my favorite, you know, TV character with him, and I'm sitting there and I'm glued, man. And I'm glued. And I swear to God, it was like every single day after that, I watched that tape. Even just that part, I remember just watching that same part over and over again. I'd come home from school and pop that tape into the VCR, and I just kept on watching it. I was obsessed with this one part of you know, seeing Hulk Hogan, listening to the crowd, and seeing my favorite character from the A-Team on there. And I'm like, it's like I'm watching three different things happen at the same time, but I'm like loving it. And I don't even know, man. From there, I was just like, all right, well, whatever this stuff is called, whatever wrestling, is that what they call it? Okay, well, whatever this is, I'm going to do that, you know?
Yeah. And I'll tell you that WrestleMania, I had been watching it already a couple of years before WrestleMania. But me and my friends, when we lived on Long Island, and we went out to Southampton Community College and watched it on the closed circuit.
Mm-hmm.
But just the lead up to that, the build up, it was so unbelievable. Everyone, non-wrestling fans, knew about WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knew, because you had Cyndi Lauper, you had Mr. T, you had Hogan, all that together. Everyone knew about it. And to this moment, if somebody says, when was WrestleMania? I can tell you it's March 31st, 1985. It's there like my mom's birthday in my head. It'll never go away.
Mm-hmm.
That was as much as a wrestling fan as I already was, that was the event that told me that this is going to be more than just something I kind of watch. I mean, I'm always going to be deep in it as much as I can, doing whatever it is I can do.
Right.
It happens to be this kind of stuff, which I like doing a lot. So I totally understand how that has that impact on you. When did you start realizing, you get a 15, 16-year in-ring career? When did you start doing the Macho Man?
Well, the funny thing is that I guess I was good at impressions, you know, and impersonating wrestlers, you know, because I watched wrestling so much and I loved all the characters. So, you know, next thing you know, I'd go to school, you know, junior high, high school, and I'm doing like voice impressions of certain wrestlers. And of course, Macho Man, even before I hit puberty, man, before I even had a deep voice, I was able to do this with my voice. Of course, it's gotten a lot better now. You know, like the older I get, the more I do this with my throat and mess it up, right. You know, the better it gets. But people, man, I'll tell you, like kids will tell you in school that they remember me, like, you know, 14, 15 years old doing a Macho Man impression and nailing it, you know. And then it was just like every Halloween I would be a wrestler for Halloween. And I'd always pick one, but more times than not, it was Macho Man. It was a version of Macho Man that I would do. There was others, you know what I mean? Because I always like to make my own costumes and make my own. I'm going to be, you know, like one year I was like Smash from Demolition. You know, I just painted my face the same way he had his. I was like, you know, I had the mullet and I was like a little kid, you know. But I was like, whatever wrestler I saw on TV, I'm gonna be that one for Halloween. And then it was weird because as I got older, I started doing Macho Man year after year, just different versions of Macho Man, because I started to look like him physically, which I don't think that I do outside of the gimmick. You know what I mean? If you saw pictures of me without the whole thing on, you know what I mean? Like some people will say that I do in certain light. Some I don't really think so, not too much, but when I put it all on, man, it was like, wow, man, it's kind of creepy. I do look like him, especially when I do the mannerisms and I make this, you know, the facial expressions and stuff. So like every year I was just doing a different version of Macho Man. And it really, like, I never thought to do it as like to call myself a Macho Man impersonator, tribute artist, anything like that until I was done with wrestling already, because I had already like messed up my back enough where I couldn't do it anymore. It was already like, even before messing up my back, like mentally, it wasn't fun anymore because I had started to lose, my passion for wrestling, you know, as a fan. Also, just like I don't watch today's stuff, man. I'm not a fan. I'm a fan of the whole, you know, I'm a fan of professional wrestling, but just not a fan of today's professional wrestling. You know, I didn't watch the pay-per-view. I don't watch anything. You know, unless something happened and it sounds interesting, I'll go back and I'll watch it, you know?
Yeah.
But it wasn't until like somebody actually put the idea in my head, and I like to this day, I don't know why I never thought of it. Here I was at a place in my life, I was kind of lost and not, I knew I wasn't wrestling anymore. I wanted to keep doing something in entertainment because that's my life, whether it was wrestling or I did some acting in LA. I've done stand-up comedy. I've done all kinds of, I'm an entertainer. I can't take that out of me. You know what I mean? And when I knew that I was done with wrestling, it did kind of like leave a serious void. And somebody, I was actually working at a nutrition store, and I give my boy Phil props for this. I tell him every time I see him until he's sick of hearing it. I'll tell him every single time, brother, if it wasn't for you, this wouldn't be happening, man. Because he goes, you live in Las Vegas. You do the most amazing Macho Man impersonation I've ever seen in my life. That it's fucking, can we curse on the show?
It's absolutely.
He's like, it's creepy what you're able to do with yourself. And he's like, how are you not making money? And a light bulb went off, and I said, dude, I gotta go. And I left, and I went home, and I designed up these business cards right here. I made up these. I made them. I don't know if you can see it.
Yep.
I went on Vistaprint, man. And I put in, you know, I got the back of it here. Where am I? Here we go.
Double-sided.
Yeah.
That's like, smart. They always say, don't waste any space.
Nope. I got all the events and stuff, all the kinds of events that I do on there. I got all my, all my social media and this and that. I said, you know what, man? From this moment on, this is a business now, and I am going to make money doing this, and I am the world's greatest at this, and I'm going to show everybody that I am. And that's the attitude that I took it, and I took it just as serious as you know, the way that I do things. When I was wrestling, I took it very serious, man. I would not. I'm the guy that would drive 4 hours for $25, if that, or get screwed out of my $25 and then go back and do it the next week. You know what I mean? Because I didn't want there to ever be any blame on me. If I wasn't going to make it to WWE, if I wasn't going to be a big, huge WWE superstar, I needed to know that it wasn't my fault. You know what I mean? I did everything that was expected of me. I went above and beyond everything. So I took this with the same attitude. I said, you know what? I'm going to make money doing this. I'm going to name my price. I am going to do conventions. I'm going to do expos. I'm going to do weddings. I'm ordained to marry people. I've done weddings. I'm the whole 9 yards, man. I absolutely said there's nothing that I can't do with this character. And that's why I went to, I'm now with a branding company where we're like expanding this thing to, it's not just going to be a guy that does an impression of Macho Man. It's going to be like, you're going to see this guy doing all kinds of motivational speaking, doing stand-up comedy as this guy, as, merchandise, this, that. I'm taking this thing like, big time, man.
Yeah, and I can see that happening without a question. Matter of fact, you had a podcast you did not too long ago, and Lanny Poffo was on there with you. And you talk about getting best compliments for what it is you're doing. For him to say that if there's ever a movie that he's going to push to have you in there,
Right.
who would know him better than his own brother?
Man, when he said that, man, I had to maintain my composure and try to look like I was being cool. But I was like, man, I just got the endorsement. Like anybody who's out there trying to say that they're a better, because everybody wants to say that they're the best, but they're not, because I am, and there's only one. And and you're the best when you got the guy's brother telling you that, number one, he said Randy would have loved you if he was alive and he saw you. He would have loved you. He said, if there is a movie to be made and he has anything to do with it, yes, I will be playing the part of his brother. I mean, you can't get any higher praise than that, And I'm glad that you brought it up, because I didn't want to feel like I was just bragging about it or making it up. You heard it. It's out there, man. It's out there.
It is out there. And honestly, anyone who has seen your videos knows it's the truth, because when that camera starts rolling, you are in that character in a way that I don't know that anyone else could really do. We talk about how this keeps the memory alive. And I think, I grew up with, my mom was a big Elvis fan. And when he passed away, all of a sudden she's buying Elvis records and I'm hearing them all day long. Mm-hmm. And I became an Elvis fan. And then they have all the impressionists in Vegas. And when I got to go to Vegas a few years ago, that was the one thing I wanted to see. And I remember that I did my research, and Priscilla Presley put her stamp of approval on one in particular.
Oh.
And now I know why, because having gone seeing him, I never got to see Elvis in life, but I saw his videos of concerts and stuff. This guy was uncanny, just like you. And that's what I thought of when I saw you the first time.
What's his name?
That's what I can't think of right this moment.
Is his last name Jenkins? Because there's a guy out here who's friends with another impersonator friend of mine. Santana Jackson is a Michael Jackson impersonator out here.
Is he a guy that's kind of built though, like muscles and stuff?
He's lean. He's a wrestler also. Santana Jackson. He's a wrestler, but he looks like he's the one that performs in the Michael Jackson the MJ Live show. He's the Michael Jackson MC.
And what I thought, and it might be sensible if he's a wrestler, the only problem I had with the act is he looked muscular and Michael wasn't really.
Well, he would love to hear you say that, because he's always saying that, like, he wants to get bigger. And I'm like, dude, you don't want to get bigger. Not for what you do. You don't need to. For your impersonator stuff and for your wrestling, nobody wants to see a jacked Michael Jackson. You know what I mean? But
exactly.
You know how we are as guys, it's like, dude, trust me, don't do it. It's kind of like, not to take anything away from the comedy, but Carrot Top was a funny guy. But when Carrot Top got all jacked and looked like kind of weird, it's like people kind of started taking him a little bit too serious. He's a comedian, but you're like afraid to laugh at him because his shoulders look like bowling balls now.
That was it. I couldn't figure out how he did that. It's like, man, it was like, did you have implants done? Because I've seen people do crazy stuff like that.
I don't know the exact answer, and I don't want to get sued, so I'm not gonna guess. But I mean, he's a great guy. I've actually worked with him before on some things, and but he'll admit it. He went through a phase of changing up his look, and anytime that you do that, no matter, it would be the same thing as like, let's say he just cut off his hair, right? Because that's what he's known for, his crazy wild red hair. Now let's say he got like a nice badass haircut, or he shaved his head bald. Carrot Top isn't Carrot Top anymore.
No.
So Santana, he's got a good build. You know what I mean? He's lean. When he wrestles with his shirt on anyway, and that's the way it should be, because he's portraying that character. But I don't know how we got on that topic. But anyway, the Elvis guy, there's a guy out here, I think his last name is Jenkins. I can't remember his first name, but he's friends with Santana. That's how Santana got brought up into this. And I never personally met him, but I have seen his videos, and I'm very entertained by him, because I'm an Elvis fan as well, just because of my dad was an Elvis fan, and I'm just an Elvis fan just because of if anybody was like the definition of cool at any time in life, that dude, he was just beyond cool, man. You know what I mean? That dude, he was the coolest cat there could be, man.
He set the bar. I mean, before him, the closest thing you could really compare him to that I can think of would be the Rat Pack. It was a different kind of cool. Right. He wasn't the kind of cool. He was cool for your parents.
Mm-hmm.
Elvis was the first real teeny bopper, teenage into young adult, absolutely lose their minds kind of guy. And literally one of those, the thing that makes somebody that great is that the guys want to be him and the girls want to be with him.
Right.
And a lot of times the guys get jealous of people like that because their girlfriends are busy looking at him. He didn't have that problem. He could get along with anybody in the room.
Right. I'm jealous of Elvis, man. The amount of girls he got. I'm jealous of his hair, man. I always really admired his hair. Great hair.
Indeed, he did. And that pomp is not an easy thing to maintain.
Oh, man. What a guy.
Well, in wrestling, your all-time favorite match, if you had to pick one match.
To be honest with you, man, mine, people are probably going to expect me to say the Machoman Steamboat match. And yeah, that is one of them. And it was a great match, but there's a match that doesn't get enough credit. And it was with Bret Hart versus 1-2-3 Kid on an episode of Monday Night Raw. I have it on a DVD, actually. I could tell you if I really want to go look through the stuff here. But
first episode?
It was on, I don't know if it was I don't think it was the first episode.
Okay.
It was, hold on a second.
I'm trying to remember that first season he wrestled. He had a big match.
There's a, here. I do have some old school DVDs here, man.
Same here, man.
This is a 3-disc thing here, right? You guys probably seen this before.
Yep, I've got that.
And the disc 1 is like just unbelievable. I'd be happy with just disc 1. Let me see. Another great match that's on here is Shawn Michaels versus Marty Jannetty for the Intercontinental Championship.
Yes. They had some good matches. That should have gone longer.
That was unbelievable, man, that match. Here we go. Bret Hart versus 1-2-3 Kid. WWE Championship match was July 11th, 1994. Go and watch that match, man. Watch the story being told there. Watch every single... unbelievable, man. I mean, like, you get sucked into them. You know what psychology is and you know what you're looking for. And you're watching, you can get just so deeply invested into that match. Everything. It was like the kid, the kid trying to prove himself and he's fighting and and then you got the champion who's a good guy and he's fighting. They're both baby faces.
Right.
And somehow somebody's got to be the heel in a babyface match, right? But Bret Hart did it in a way where of course it was him, but not really. He still stayed very babyface. It was just unbelievable, man. Never seen anything like that.
That's always been one of my biggest knocks, especially on today's product, is that I don't think you do have to have a heel and a baby face. I think you have to have two guys that can tell a story.
Right.
And a lot of the best stories have been told by two guys that are not heels. I mean, you've seen some really good. AEW once in a while will have one, but not consistently. The only product that I can watch today, start to finish, almost every week, is Impact Wrestling.
Really?
Because they get it. They all the time they will have a couple of baby faces. Sometimes they'll have a couple of heels, but it doesn't always have to fit the same exact formula that we've been kind of force fed for so long. Even back in the day, I still remember back when Backlund was the world champion. There was a match where Salvatore Bellomo had just come on the scene. He was a babyface, young Italian kid, and I think he wrestled Tony Gurria at the Garden. And we're like, oh my God, an actual wrestling match. What a thought.
Yeah.
And it was a great match. So I'd just like to see more of that. And Impact does give more of that. And I think they're true to the old style of wrestling for me. And that's why I gravitate very much to their product more than a lot of the other stuff that we have to choose from today.
Yeah, I don't watch any of it, so I really wouldn't even know. I know that NWA is out there also, and I would expect them to have that old school mentality. I don't really hear much of. I only go with I don't watch and I don't like search out to hear what's going on. I'll scroll on social media. Somebody will say, like later on, I'll be scrolling and I'll see stuff about tonight's pay-per-view, and if it sounds interesting, like something happened that sounded interesting, I'm like, okay, I'll check it out. One of I guess the Bloodline. What's his name's Roman Reigns' cousin.
Yeah.
So there's another member, and he's from here. And so I've been on shows with him and stuff like that, or been at shows, with FSW and stuff like that. And so it's like, okay, well, that interests me. That's cool. Like, now this family is expanding. They think that they've seen them all, and they're just coming out of nowhere. And there's a lot of them left, believe me.
Oh, I know.
What I mean? There's a lot left. Now, here's something. This is something that irks me, is that it's like, now here's a storyline that I can get a little bit interested in, right? And I'm like, okay, here's another cousin coming out of nowhere, and here's another one coming out of nowhere, and now this family's growing, and then all of a sudden you put Sami Zayn into that whole mix, and I can't stand Sami Zayn, and now that you put Sami Zayn in with the Bloodline, I don't want to watch the Bloodline anymore. You totally I don't know what his involvement is. I don't need to see it. I saw him on the screen with them, and it looks like something just completely, like, they didn't know what to do with him, and they stuffed him in there, and they took somebody that I can't stand watching, and they put him in the center of the one thing that I thought was worth watching.
Yep, I feel very similar about that. I get he's there for the comedic purpose, which I get that. I just don't know why you're entering comedy when you've got this badass group that's supposed to just be dominating the world of wrestling, and you got Roman, who's the God mode and all that. Why do you need a court jester?
Right. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, you know what? Like, bring in his cousin. Awesome. Next week, bring in another cousin. You know what I mean? Like, holy shit, these guys are coming out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Next thing you know, there's a mob full of them. Oh my God, how many cousins are there? And then you got this redheaded stepchild who, like, literally, and he's annoying, man. I mean, I don't care. Yeah, I know he's a great wrestler and this and that. The fact that he is a better wrestler than me actually bothers me, because he's so boring that, like, he's making more money than I ever have, and I've got more entertainment in my little pinky than he does in his whole body. But he's a great wrestler, but I don't care. I don't want to look at you. There's a reason why they put him under a mask and called him Generico, because, dude, take a hint, brother. Don't get me started, man. I need to be entertained.
Generico. There's a reason.
There is a reason, man. That was probably the best gimmick he ever got. Talk about being a real extension of yourself. You could have just called him, like, water, just plain, just
like,
clear,
I get the funny feeling
nothing.
that they're trying to build up to him coming to Kevin Owens' aid, and then the two of them being back together as buddies again and going against the Usos for the tag team titles. I think that's where it leads to, and if it does, those will be good matches.
Well,
because you still have the Usos that you'll want to root for, and the guy that you definitely want to root against, but they'll also put on good matches. But it's a long road to get there right now.
And here's the thing. See, now, if that is the prediction, and that is where, like, if that's what's going to happen, then you just kept me from watching, like, months worth of programming, because I can't stand Kevin Owens either.
Oh,
and,
there you go.
And you team up Kevin Owens, and you team him up with Generico there, and it's like, you got two of my worst, people. Put them in a team and ship them off. Ship them down to Ohio Valley Wrestling.
So you wouldn't even want to see the Usos beat them up, huh?
No, that's how much I don't like them, is that I don't even want to see them get beat up. I don't like them. I don't like them to such an extent that I don't want to see them visible. That's what it is. I want to see them come out. I want to miss the entrance, and then I want to see them underneath the ring and not come out for the rest of the year.
Hang out there with Hornswoggle for a bit.
Right. I'd rather see Hornswoggle come out and do something. He was funny.
He was hilarious.
He made me chuckle.
Anyway. Oh my goodness. Let's see here. What else?
I know I kind of threw things off track, didn't I?
No, we didn't really have a track. That's what I liked about this.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we'll just throw stuff around, and whatever lands. We talk about your branding right now. You're in this transitional stage. So right now, if people want to check out where they can find you at the moment, we have the Machoman YouTube page, which will be changing soon. But if they go there, then they're going to find out the new stuff from there. Is that correct?
Yeah. Here's the deal with that, man. So I had a YouTube page that had all the Motch cast, the podcast that I was doing on StreamYard, like this one here.
Yeah.
And I had somebody that was helping me run everything, and we kind of like went our separate ways. And now I don't know what's up with that. I don't even know if you can get on that YouTube channel anymore. I don't know what the deal is with there, because I have another YouTube channel that I'm trying to kind of get everything transferred over to there. It's kind of a big mess right now, but in a simple way to answer your question, I would say that if anything that's out there, if you wanted to see if those things are visible, if my YouTube page that I had all that stuff on is visible, and or you need any of my social media or anything, if you just go into Google or wherever your favorite search thing is, and you just type in Motch, MOTCHOMANN. With the proper spelling, the only thing that's going to pop up is me. There it is.
There's the proper spelling. How's that?
There it is, right there.
Bam.
So that'll get you to wherever, anything that's out there, you know, is gonna come up once you type that in. It'll tell you what my current social medias are, what my you know, and then down the road, because I mean everything is being redone. I mean, I'm going to have a booming TikTok thing going on. I'm going to have a YouTube thing. I'm investing a lot into this, a lot of time and a lot of money that I don't have. But I'm hiring people to do the things for me that I have no desire to do or any clue of how to do it anyway, because I am not a TikToker or a influencer. I'm going to be. But I'm not one of these people. I go to the gym and I see like this girl working out and she's got her, you know, she's like, and I'm like, I can't even, I go to the gym and gimmick, and I have a hard time doing that, because I just feel like I'm there to work out, and I got people, you know, it's like you're watching people and you know they're not there to work out. They're there to make a video. I've actually seen women hire personal trainers to be their photographers. They are not giving them any nutritional advice. They are not giving them any workout advice. They stand there and hold a camera every time that I go to the gym and see them.
Wow.
That's how it is today, man. And I'm embarrassed to even bring my, you know, I try to keep my phone in my pocket, man. Like, I just want to get my workout in. I can't have a good workout and make a video at the same time. I would have to get my workout in during the day, go back later on and film a video and make it look like I'm working out, because I can't do both. I need to, you know, believe it or not, I actually go to the gym to work out. People go to the gym it's like their studio.
And you're in great shape. You can see that. So obviously it doesn't have it by itself.
That's right. Yeah, you don't get that way by making videos, man.
No, definitely not. And I'm in a similar boat as you. I've had to learn the hard way how to muddle my way through different things, and StreamYard is new for me. This is only about the 4th or 5th stream I've done with it, but I definitely like it a lot. It's been more reliable for me than other forms. But man, I used to be really good with the tech back in the 80s and 90s, and then I got away from it. And it's kind of like the old soap operas my mom would tell me about. If you miss a week, forget it, you're lost.
Yeah.
And with technology, I think it's an hour.
And technology, I mean, the way they move so fast, I mean, you could take a nap and miss it.
That's it.
You know what I mean? So I've never been up with technology, even, you know, the 80s and 90s or anything. I mean, like, I've never been a video game guy. I've never had, you know, when everybody else had DVD players, I still had a VCR. I was always like the one step behind guy. You know, when everybody got the MP3s in the gym and they were listening to their music on this little tiny thing, I had my Walkman, you know, I was like the old school guy. You know, there's always that one guy in the gym that doesn't know like what year it is or what decade it is or, you know, what century it is. That's me.
Well, right behind me, I have a cassette deck, and I don't know how many cassette tapes. Can't even tell you. I even have the cassette singles that only have one song on each side.
Now you're talking.
That's what I'm saying, man. This is old school.
Man, now we're talking. I know that stuff, man. Those singles, I remember.
Yep.
Yeah.
They were cheap, 50 cents.
Yeah.
Good All right, let's do this. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to try something here. I think we're going to have a good time with. Be right back after this.
It's time. It's time. It's nation time. For over 17 years, we have brought you some of the most original content anywhere. And now is your chance to join the nation. exclusively here on YouTube. Click that subscribe button right now. Make sure you hit the like button when you're watching the videos and hit that bell notification so you know when we go live. Make sure you follow us on Twitter as well. We are One Nation.
All right, here we go. Like I said, I'm still messing around with the stuff a little bit, but we'll see if this works out the way I think it does. I'll know very quickly. I'm gonna bang that up there. So I happen to have some people that would like to talk to you. I think you'll know who they are. So why don't we just bring them in here? Can you hear me?
Who's there?
Hold on one second. Can you hear me? Were you able to hear me when you were on the solo screen?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah. When I had
no.
you on the okay, but when you were on the solo screen, were you still able to hear me or no?
No. Well, yeah. Before you're. Oh, I'm sorry, man. Hold on.
Yeah, let me try this. I'm going to go back to putting you on a solo screen, and let me know if you can hear me. All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I needed to know. All right, here we go. Somebody wants to say something to you real quick.
It's just like this is your life.
Macho Man, this is Jesse the Body. How are you, my old tag team partner?
I love it. Who is that? Is that Kevin
Jesse
Cross?
the Body. In my opinion, you are the greatest Macho Man talent out there in the world today.
Man, I like it. I like it. That is really good, man.
What you gonna do, brother?
Uh-huh.
See you invading the nation, man.
That's pretty good. Uh-huh. Who else you got for me?
Those are actually the two I had.
Are those impersonators?
That's me.
Is that you?
Yeah.
Brother, you got some talent there, man. I like it.
Right. That's basically the synopsis of this channel. Started out with me doing some Jesse Ventura play-by-play. We liked the video games. We didn't like the commentary on the video games, so I would kill the commentators and do it all myself. And then the Jesse the Body thing for me was kind of like the macho thing for you. I got a lot of traction off of that, so then I would do like a Mean Gene. And like you were saying, when we were kids, we were imitating a lot of these guys.
Yeah. You watch it so much you can't help but like get these voices stuck in your head and then imitate it. And I do a lot of impressions because of I get very into whatever I'm watching. But I could do a little bit of Jesse Ventura myself. But I thought that was actually because I don't know if you've heard Killer Cross or Kevin Cross or Karrion Cross, whatever he's calling himself.
Yeah. Karrion Cross.
His Jesse Ventura. Oh my God, bro.
I haven't heard it, but I've heard he does an amazing one. Dude,
there was a video of him making his friend laugh in the gym. And I mean, first of all, like, because Kevin is his character is very serious, but he's a great guy. But it's almost like seeing him out of character, which not a lot of people have seen that. Right. So here he is at the gym and his friend is doing like triceps, something or like that. And all of a sudden he just busts out of nowhere. And he's like, "You mean to tell me that's all you can do?" And I'm like, oh, it just sounded, and he's got the mannerisms, the head moving and all, when Jesse talks, his head moves like that,
Yep. And the whole time I'm doing it, even though I'm not on camera when I do it, I'm still like, I had seen Jesse many times live calling matches and stuff at pay-per-views or what have you. And he's always rocking in his chair and he has like the nervous foot twitch thing going on.
Right.
Like too much caffeine in his diet, which by the way, any idea what this is?
Well, hey man, I'm right there with you, man. I can't sit still.
What do you think this is though?
Is that a cup of coffee in the big time?
There you go.
Cup of coffee in the big time. Man.
Still one of my favorite Macho Man promo spots of all time. That was one of them. The other one was when he was in WCW getting ready for a tag team match with Sting. They're in the locker room doing the promo. Sting's doing all the talking. Macho Man's just back and forth. And every time it's like, "Macho Man, do you want to say something?" I'm not talking. And that was like all he said. He just said it like 3 or 4 times. It was hilarious.
Yeah. He doesn't need to do nothing to make it good. You know what I mean? Like, he's just Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. I think in order to be a success in the wrestling business, man, if you know, if you're not good on the mic, you ain't never gonna make money. You ain't never gonna the fans are never gonna gravitate towards you. You know, being an in-ring performer, being a great in-ring 5-star wrestling match guy is great. But I'm sorry, man. Those guys, those 5-star wrestler guys, they never made as much money as a guy like The Rock, who is known for an eyebrow. You know what I mean? The Rock's eyebrow is more famous and more, has more money in the bank account than like we were talking about. Kevin Owens, great wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
Great wrestler. Actually, not great. He gets it. Whatever. People will say different things, and I'm going to get shit for it, whatever. But, but when I look at him, thing is, when I look at him, I don't want to see him wrestle, because why do I want to? I could look outside and see some kids out in the park fight, and they look the same as him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people will say that he's great on the mic. I don't think that hearing a guy getting blown up while he's talking because he's so out of shape is a good promo guy. But then again, I'm sure now you're going to get all the hate mail. You're going to get all the hate mail for,
You'd be surprised. We have these conversations on this channel a lot, especially when I do some open mic stuff. And everyone just has their favorites. Everyone has the ones they're not. And a lot of the things that are popular right now, for example, Seth Rollins, I just don't get it. And I never have been able to quite get what the deal is with Seth Rollins.
Yeah, what is that gimmick? I don't know what it is.
Well, now it's kind of like a takeoff of the Joker from when Heath Ledger played the Joker.
That's what he's doing?
Sort of. I mean, he's kind of got the nonstop laughter down. He's not doing like Sting did with the paint and everything else. But it's just never. I remember when he first came over from. Did he even do NXT, or he was like championship from Florida, and then before it was really NXT, or I think he was there for the first month of NXT.
Yeah.
But he had that entrance, if you remember, when he came out, and it looked like he was having a fit. His arms would flail about, and his legs, he was just like all over the place, like some toy you wound up and let it go. And I'm like, what the hell entrance is that? And thank God he got away from it, because I thought he was going to kill himself one day. He's going to fall off the stage and break his neck.
See, I don't remember him from back then. I wasn't watching.
But a lot of people were into his stuff, It's like even tonight's match was kind of like, But then again, he's with another guy I really don't care anything about, Matt Riddle.
Ugh.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to fight Matt Riddle, I can tell you that right now. I know that guy can bend you in 15 different positions without trying.
I think that's the thing that I hate about him the most. He's a goofy-looking, annoying, whatever, right? Yeah. The fact that I know that this man could kick my ass bothers me more than any of that. It's like, I wish that I could say, yeah, man, like, if I confronted him, or if he confronted me and said, hey, man, I heard, I'm going to be like, bro, not to sound like him, bro.
Yeah.
I know you could kick my ass, and that's bothering me enough. That's worse than the ass kicking you're going to give me. A guy like you is able to beat me up. That makes me want to beat myself up. Hey, don't try stealing the spotlight every time I'm doing the video scope thing. You're trying to get your hot dog in. You hear that?
Yeah, I heard it. What kind of dog do we have?
I got two little Chihuahua mix type things.
Similar to mine. I got a couple of pound puppies. Well, they were puppies 9 years ago.
One of them is good. This is Buddy here. I'll introduce you, because Buddy will let me pick him up and show you.
Holy cow.
Buddy. He's cool and he's calm and laid back. But Daisy's the one making all the noise. She's the loud one. And if I try to pick her up and try to say, look, this is who's making all the noise, she won't let me pick her up. She'll see that? Yeah. See, she lets you know right away.
About the hand that feeds you, man.
She's like, you're not going to expose me as the pain in the ass one. No, I don't want to be seen on camera.
Mine looks a lot like that. It's a brother and sister combination, but she looks very much like yours.
Oh, like Buddy?
The one you just held up.
I'll show you Daisy if I could get her over here, but she won't come. She's cute. She's a lot cuter than she sounds.
Sounds like some good home protection right there.
I know, right? She sounds vicious, doesn't she? She just wants to play with her constantly. She will not let me stop playing with her. Like, I'll play like while we're talking on here. She's pulling on this rope. That's cool. I can multitask. It's all good. Just stay quiet. We're good.
Mine won't even do that. Mine will take the ball, and then you have to go chase her for the ball. She'll never bring it back to you.
That's how they play. They play fetch with us. They make us fetch it.
So when I started this particular program inside the Creator Studio, what inspired me was an old TV show called Inside the Actors Studio with James Lipton.
Right, I remember.
Okay, and I always loved that show. And I thought it would be cool to do that with different creators here on YouTube that have something similar, you know, whether it's a wrestling background, whether it's a creator of video games that are wrestling oriented, things like that. Anything that had to do with wrestling. And I said, that's what I kind of want to do, is a separate program on this channel.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I always liked about his stuff was at the end, he had a set series of questions that he would go down. So we'll dive into a couple of those, and they're pretty basic. But he would ask people, and I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite word?
My favorite word?
Yeah.
Man, well, you might have heard me say it a couple times during this podcast here.
Sounds like my favorite word, too.
You know, I'm an East Coast guy. I'm a New Yorker. It's kind of part of my lingo. But I'm going to say, okay, if it's not a profanity word, I'm going to say my favorite word probably might be brother, because I do call people brother a lot, you know, like as myself, not even in character. But, you know, my friends, I call, hey, man, what's up, brother, you know? So I guess brother.
That sounds good. What is your least favorite word?
Bro. No. My least favorite word. My least favorite word is no. Especially when it comes from a female. Aha. Nah, I don't know.
No, that's a good
There's
one.
a lot of words I hate.
That's a popular one, as a matter of fact. What is your favorite sound?
My favorite sound is the sound of a crowd erupting. The crowd erupting. If I go back and I listen to the audio of Triple H's return at Madison Square Garden, and I was in there. I was in the arena. I was at Madison Square Garden that night when he made his return from his quad injury.
Yep.
That building, you've heard people say the building shook.
Yes.
The building shook. There was an earthquake going on, man. That building shook, and I get goosebumps just thinking about the sound. That sound and the sound of hardcore weights clinking together. Like, that's the old meathead in me, man. Like, not like machines, but like the old school, like, you know, like 4 plates on each side of a bench. Of course, it's not me who's doing the benching. I'm just listening to it. But you hear the, you know, the weights clinking together as the weights going down, you know, as it's, you know, you hear that. I like that sound, man. It's like music.
So then what is your least favorite sound?
Once again, female saying the word no.
Okay.
No. My least favorite sound is hearing Kevin Owens music. No. I don't know, man. You know, that's like the easy ones are my favorite things, you know what I mean? Because you know that you love them. But I'm sure, like, once we get off of here, I'm gonna hear something. I hate to hear my dog barking when I'm trying to do a podcast. It's you. I don't know, man. There's probably a lot of sounds that I hate. I hate the sound of a kid crying behind you on an airplane.
There you go, because you know you get back kicked.
I don't know.
And the one question he always wrapped up with, which I thought was always my favorite: if God does exist, what do you hope to hear him say when you go to heaven?
Ooh, yeah.
Perfect.
That's what I want.
Well, I do appreciate you taking time to join us here on The Nation. The other thing we probably should mention, you can also find Motch on Twitter. So that's definitely going to be where you'll get notified of the new branding locations and things as they pop up. That's how I've been keeping in touch with you, and it's real easy. So by all means,
some of my social media may stay the same. I believe that my Twitter is going to stay the same. I'm just going to have somebody doing the running of it. So when you see things posted, or if it says that I'm online, I may not necessarily be online. It might be my people, and I have no idea what I'm talking about. But I know that I'm going to be doing as little as possible to do my own. I just want to do my stuff. I want to be the creative thing and just let the technology thing be its thing. You know what I mean? But I think my Twitter is going to be staying the same, because I think I was able to transfer that one over already. Everything is in such a process right now, and it's such a mess. And so I'm thinking, I'm trying to keep the Twitter. I'm trying to keep this Twitter and the Instagram that I have up right now. The Macho, is it the Macho Man or Macho Graham?
I was going to say Macho Graham is what I think it was. I don't have Instagram myself, but my girlfriend does, and I'll pop on once in a while.
Yeah, I don't know how any of these things work, bro. I'll be honest with you. But for right now, if you just put in Macho Man, it'll take you to the right one.
There you go. Well, again, thank you so much for spending time with us here. And as things evolve and you got anything you want to plug or promote, by all means, send me a message. I can either make a little short commercial up for you and throw it in the middle of our programming and stuff, because I got to take breaks all the time during that. And I like to have filler. We have you back on anytime you want. You're a great guest. And I know we've only scratched the surface.
Cool, man. Well, I had a good time, man. Thank you. You're a good host. You're the host with the most. I like you.
Thank you very much. I like you too.
Right.
All right, everybody, from ringside, Vince McSham for the Macho Man. And we'll see you again real soon.